Hello, welcome to another episode of Drinking with Comics presents Drunk on Energon. I am Sean.
Woo! And I am Mike.
And Mike, what are we going to be drinking today? This is another one of your selections.
This is Sam Adams Cherry Wheat, available now in the summer pack that I gave you or split with you. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite beers. As far as like eating with like barbecue or something like that.
I haven't had one
It's
of these in a long like a decade, if not close to two. It would go well with barbecue for sure. For sure.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, look at that. Look at all that head. Oh, look how
Oh,
awful of a job I did pouring that.
it is good. I've had a stressful day, so I don't normally uh tear into one right after work, but man, I'm ready to fucking go. So we're drinking our cherry wheat. We're talking about Robert Kirkman, Skybound, Image Comics, the Energon universe. The entries into this both came out, I guess, last week, and it's Void Rivals #9 and Cobra Commander #5. So,
Ooh.
what'd you think of Void Rivals #9, my friend?
I enjoyed the sad life of Scuzoid.
Yes, it's the best part. Like, he's referenced his wife and kids multiple times in previous issues. Like, I got a wife and kids to feed. And he comes home and it's a typical like 50s sitcom, like, honey, kids, I'm home. There's nobody there. I just love the top panel that's like a side view of him. He's just like like he's just like a lump. Oh, and then just it doesn't get any easier. So I guess they left him.
Yeah, I wonder why, because he's always wheeling and dealing, probably never home.
Yeah. The life of a
Not a good
hustler, man.
dad.
It's not a good life for a family, man.
No, it is not. Man, was he excited when he walked in that door. Man, like,
You know,
oof,
it's those little
oof.
moments. Kirkman just, oh God, I just fucking love him. Just love him. Apart from Skuckoid, or how we've determined and forgotten how to say his name 9 times already on the show. Uh, the big thing this week is obviously Springer, who's apparently been sitting in this abandoned terminal.
For I don't know for how long. Clearly, this is the person. I like this has a lot to do with the free comic book day Energon special. Like Scuzoid gets home, and then clearly this is who Hot Rod is probably looking for, Springer. We thought maybe
Oh, I
Jetfire
hadn't
would
even
be it.
thought of that.
It would make sense that it would be Springer, is my thought. Yeah, because they were tight in the movie, or at least hung out together.
So, okay, so wait a minute. So this is interesting. I hadn't thought of that. And so now we have that, and then at the end of this issue, we have like a small scene with the Quintessons where, and I feel like this is like a bomb, right? They had mentioned previously in one of the issues something about like this Quintesson that had like left and like gone off and done like their own thing.
Uh-huh.
Zerta Trion.
So I'm wondering if Zerta Trion is like Alpha Trion.
Or like another of the race, like is Alpha Trion of the same like race or cabal or ensemble of what started Cybertron?
Yeah, he was the first. Well, let's say he was the first. If his name's Alpha Trion, he was probably the first Transformer. They probably made a Beta Trion and a Zeta Trion, and this is what Zerta. What is Zerta a number? I don't know what Zerta means.
Well, I don't either actually.
Yeah,
This is just so fucking weird because so in the cartoon, the Quintessons had made Cybertron and the Transformers, correct?
yes.
Or had they lived on Cybertron, made the Transformers, and then been forced off Cybertron by the Transformers? I don't
It's
something like
both.
that.
It depends on what universe you listen to, but yeah, basically the idea is that they were there at some point in time and either created it or took credit for creating it, but they were there at the beginning. before everyone became sentient, maybe.
Right. So, man, I find this super interesting because then at the same time, at the end of Cobra Commander 5, we have a Cobra Law epilogue where they
Yes.
have now tapped into what they got, the information they downloaded from Megatron before he escaped in the Free Comic Book Day special or whatever. And now they see Cybertron and they see it as their natural opposite, right? All organic
Yes.
versus all mechanical.
Which is what we were talking about last time, which is kind of
Yes, I feel
cool.
like we're
Yeah.
getting into the nuts and bolts of the entire like creation of this universe,
Yeah.
right down to the quarks and fucking atoms. Right, Buzzer?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Like, the more interesting thing is the quintessence and Cobra Law in this whole universe. The two throwaway things, like, they don't transform. They're not military, so
They're not American.
they're not American and they're not Transformers. They're just background stories that like is fleshing out like a really interesting civil or war, I guess you could say, not even civil war, but just a war
A war.
between the flesh and metal. The metal flesh war,
Dude, I
the
mean,
organic techno organic war, the techno organic war. There we
techno
go.
organic war. There you go. I'll drink to that. This is fucking delicious, by the way. Good pick. God damn.
It is good on a summer day. It's
Mm.
a good solid beer.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I know. I'm so glad it's in the summer pack. But let's backtrack here to Springer here. Man, is he got a little bit of an organic size snob, isn't he?
Yeah. Well,
Like, oh,
yes, but I mean, also like he's assuming because he's large and mechanical, and Proximus is small and human. He knows that he's organic because of the other two. Um,
yeah.
but like it's like okay, yeah, you're not gonna be a problem. But then the fact that Proximus stops his fucking sword cold on the
And
downward
chips it,
plunge, yeah, it's
right?
crazy.
I like that it's a double sword too. Like there's two blades because it's his helicopter blades that form the sword.
Oh, that's
Little
right.
detail that there's two. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a figure I never had. I always wanted, man.
I never really do. I don't know if I've ever had him or not. Honestly, in various incarnations, I must have one somewhere, but it never really he never really appealed to me. I don't know why. I wasn't. Just the figure never really looked that good, I guess, compared to the way he
Yeah.
appeared in the show.
Well, most of them didn't, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
long and the short of it.
I also like he was confused, like who's talking to Hand
Yeah, I
or
know. Good old
but
Handroid.
so clearly he's never seen this guy before. He's never seen our Void Rival star, whose name I forget.
No, no, I think
And
he has. He just doesn't recognize him because he's in this suit, right? I think.
do you think that could be it, or was it just something else that he found? Because
Well,
he
no,
seems
because
very much like blacked out and woke up somewhere else. Why would he take him back home? I don't know. There's a little
well,
vagueness there that I would like to. I feel like there could be more to it.
yeah, I agree. I agree. But I'm curious. I mean, so this isn't just going to be like a, Jetfire in one panel, out two later, right? Like, I feel like we're going to be with him because also in the letters page, like right away, they're like Springer versus Proximus, round one, and it's not over. And I feel like he's going to be in for at least one more issue, so that's kind of cool.
I
I just,
think I feel like he should probably really start cranking up the Transformers book itself is selling incredibly well. Cobra and the GI Joe ones second is good, not as good, but getting there because I think the word of the mouth is like once they start seeing they tie in together. Void Rivals is not selling that well compared to what it should be doing. Even like
oh,
I was late on this boat, so clearly maybe throwing more Transformers in there will entice people to go and buy it because they're not crossing. A lot of people are not crossing over as they should.
okay.
So maybe that's probably why we're going to see Springer in there because he's realizing the issues that do not have Shockwave on the cover, do not have Jetfire on the cover, aren't selling as well. So I could see him. yeah, we're gonna throw Springer in here and kind of keep this book moving because you're right, it is a decent book once you start reading it, but it's not. If you're going this as a Transformers fan, you're not gonna like. I'll save my money and not read Void Rivals.
Right.
Not realizing this is the space universe stuff. Like clearly, there's more to it.
Dude, here's an idea. Derek, which is our protagonist, right? Or
Okay.
protagonist, as I was just informed somebody pronounces it on one of my other podcasts. Derek and Springer, roommates in Palm Springs. There you go. It
Okay.
writes itself, man. It's just have at it. Anybody that wants to pick that up and run with it, go right ahead. Or detective agency,
Okay.
Um, no, I think that's a safe bet. I think that more crossover would be a good thing. I mean, dude, there's so much fucking like, if you're not reading this book and you dig Transformers the cartoon, there is enough quintessence. I mean, I think the story is solid anyway, and it's Kirkman, so it's going to be great and it's going to evolve and just get better and better. But just for the quintessence factor alone, I would
Yes.
never stop reading this book. Just for that alone, even if they're only in 3 pages an issue, I just love the fucking quintessence. So there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely the more space Transformers, like the Transformers in
Yeah,
space, not the Earthbound ones. Seeing more
yeah,
of that around and seeing what's going on with them, because clearly he's just been sitting there hanging out on that planet for like who knows how long.
yeah.
But
Char, we got to get to
yeah,
Char. I want more Char.
oh, that could be Char. We
Maybe.
don't know.
No, it's not. It's not.
One person's Char is another person's whatever planet that is.
Cobra Commander number 5, the end of the series. Mike, you've said previously you did not understand how they were going to go from where we were in the first couple issues to where we are on the cover of 5. And while 5 is definitely the cover of 5 is a projection of where we're going, we kind of get there. And there is a time lapse. They don't tell you how long. But what do you think of this? Were you happy with it? Were you like, come on?
I was I liked it, but I was disappointed.
Okay.
I'll say that if for an issue 5, I was really let down. For an issue 10, I would have been okay with it.
Okay.
If that makes
That's
sense.
fair.
There's a lot of. It did the one thing I predicted it was going to do when I saw this cover, which was like, oops, we're here now. We got a Cobra Commander and he's got a bunch of troops. We don't know how. And it's very confusing timeline wise. Like you hear Cobra La, you're transferred to Cobra La clearly taking place right after the Energon special last week or last couple weeks ago, where Megatron leaves, and they're just like Nemesis Enforcer or Nemesis hasn't checked in a couple days. There's no way he built a Springfield in a couple days.
See, now
Which
that's a
clearly
good
that
point.
is what that is. Yeah.
That's a good point. So they're playing with the timeline here.
Yeah. And which is fine, but I'm a guy that kind of needs like 6 years ago or a year later or something to explain, like, not just like you're putting me in the middle of like, oh hey, I'm Cobra Commander, I have a town, I got a bunch of January 6th rejects as a military background who, by the way, need to work out.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
not
not
going to fit
seeing
any
them
Cobra
fitting into the
suits.
Viper or the Crimson Guard suits anytime soon.
They'll get there, but
Maybe
they're
the
not there now, which is a nice touch.
maybe we could go with a new Viper, like the barbecue Viper or the Frito-Lay Viper. Something like that.
The BB Viper.
There you go, BBQ Viper. Yeah, that's a good point because too, like it is such a solid transition from the "We Are Cobra" at the end, where the banner unveils behind the commander and all the fucking rednecks jump up, in arms, and then it's like that, Cobra La. So like
Yes.
meanwhile in Cobra La, but it's not meanwhile. This would have been previous unless the Megatron was a flash forward. So they're playing with the timeline in kind of a loosey-goosey way, which
It could be that Megatron, I get like Megatron's been sitting around for a while. And Cobra Commander left 6 months later. Megatron gets free. I get that 100%. But the fact that they say, which is probably just like a little oversight, um, oh, there's an ice cream truck outside. I haven't heard that in years. Like, anyway, you cut the Cobra Commander 6 months later. I could totally see that Megatron is there and leaves 6 months later after Cobra Commander left Cobra Law. But the fact that Nemesis or Pythona,
Yeah, Pythona.
Pythona's like, it's been a couple of days, he hasn't responded. It just throws off the timeline in a weird way for me. It's hard to get like really into like, come on guys, timeline. Someone's got to collect the timeline.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I
No.
had just kind of not even paid attention to that, but the first page in this, which is like a video surveillance rundown of these assaults on Mars complexes, right? So we got Mars Red, Colorado
Yes.
City, Mars Field Testing, Nevada, Mars Secure Storage, Anchorage, Mars Corporate Offices, Washington, D.C. I feel like that's a cinematic way of letting you know time has elapsed, right? Because I don't think
Yeah.
they all happen at the same
Well,
time.
no, they just
However,
say it happens in the same day. He said all four of them got hit in the same day.
oh, never mind then. Oh, so then
Yeah.
they're really
If I
okay.
recall, 4 attacks in 48 hours.
So then in this case, then
Is that the idea? It's been 2 days too, since like he just built a town in one day.
this I think is it's story compression gone wrong, because I think they are trying to intimate this is very closely after
Yeah.
the events of the previous issue. And that makes me, I remember wondering when I read this the first time, now I forgot this. Are all these guys sitting in this hall that are like his January 6th rejects? They all look like they could be like Dreadnought associates, right? Because we've seen this now in the previous issues where the Dreadnoughts, like it was the Dreadnoughts we know, but then a bunch of other kind of like redneck swamp guys, right? And that's kind of what
It
this looks
could
like.
it could be, but there's this whole like how they built the town. You just
Well, so
don't
that's the thing. That's the thing
wait.
he
They
says.
had lasers going through this town. I love the scene where like Destro's guys are getting popped by the lasers. He's like, "Is that lasers? Like, I've never seen lasers before."
Yeah.
Which means it's a higher technology than he's used to. It just felt weird. Like, it was a big jump there. I would have loved to see Cobra Commander like recruit these guys more so than did he get him from the Swamp? Are these all former dreadnoughts that went for suburban life really quickly?
Well,
As
like
opposed
in the
to
Hama book back in the 80s, in any there's a couple issues where there's like flashbacks of Cobra Commander starting Cobra, right? And
Mhm.
they use like the Arco it's one of the, they always had the businesses that were like they would just be what do you call those palindromes
Yeah,
for Cobra,
Arbac,
right? Like
Rock, yeah,
Braca Beach, Arco moving or whatever. But
yeah,
I believe, if I remember correctly, it played on him really trolling the disenfranchised post Vietnam population, right?
yes, which makes sense.
Which makes sense. And I feel like, so they've updated it. I feel like this is, I don't know, man. I hate to make snap judgments about people's appearance, but you look at this page and these are January 6th motherfuckers. There's no doubt about it,
Oh yeah, no kidding. There's they just got back from a MAGA rally,
Yeah, exactly.
which is
Exactly.
it's a shame because I would have loved to seen that explode. Like I would love to seen these guys like sit there and go like, who do you think is like? Why do they follow this Matt faceless guy? Do they think he's someone else? Like, because they're willing to follow somebody. Is it just he comes in and goes like, oh hey yeah, hint wink wink, I'm Donald Trump in this mask, and they all just went like, cool, we're following you now. Or
I mean,
like
well, yeah,
Harry
I
Oldman in
mean,
this mask, and everyone's just like, oh, I love different strokes. I'm totally following you. Um,
I, I, I think this is definitely a case of in troubled times. people will turn to somebody that purports to have the answers, right? And I think that's what this
Yes,
is. And
and
also
he
people in
literally has the
2024, people love guns and they love violence and they love just the idea
yeah,
of, I don't know what like narcissistic reappropriation of laws and funds and property and whatnot. It's like I believe in this and I'm deserved. So I deserve to take this or whatever. That's what I'm getting from this, which is there's going to be some gray areas here. Obviously, also,
yeah,
why would you follow somebody that just gunned down like 2 dozen of the people that you got enlisted with? Well, he says fear, keeps these guys aren't afraid. They're all for it. So
yeah.
there's going to be some
There's there's
clunkiness.
a there's a certain amount like which is there's a certain amount of I'm not gonna say stupidity or mindlessness to it, but they're following him blindly for whatever reason they have. I would
Yeah,
love to see what that reason be and explored more than just he has them. I
yeah,
have these people. Like, did he like? I mean, even if it was simple, like, oh yeah, I've been on the internet for the last 2 years gathering all these people. And any explanation to why he has a high-tech Energon processing facility underneath a city, I'm assuming Springfield, um,
yeah.
would be great.
It
And
would be. I mean, I hope they
yeah,
get to that and then don't just gloss over it because I feel like now that we're switching gears and this is the end of the series, it's not like we're not going to see Cobra Commander again,
yeah,
but are we going to move backwards and see those nuts and bolts of the formation? Maybe not because I mean, we're moving now. There's shit that's going to be happening, right? So we're switching to Destro and Scarlet,
yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get some answers, maybe not. If we don't,
Uh,
I'll be a little
that's
bothered,
yeah.
but
Yeah, it's not going to be the end of the world for me. I'm enjoying this ride. It's just one of
yeah,
those like little world building. Come on, guys, not
yeah.
48 hours. Please give me some explanation.
What'd you think of them putting a name to the face with the scientist, Dr. Laszlo Vandermeer from the cartoon, who created the BASS
Oh,
device?
why did we not see that? Why did I not see
Dude,
that?
you know how long it's been since I fucking watched that shit?
Oh, I know.
But there
But
was the
still,
mass
like,
device photo in one of the previous issues of something, Duke maybe, so we probably should have been able to guess it, but whatever.
yeah. But I laughed like when I read that. I was like, oh, why did I think he was a GI Joe? Why did I instantly go to like he's a Transformer scientist, not a GI Joe
Well,
scientist?
gray-haired mad scientists, I mean, obviously there's quite a
Yeah,
few of them in the universe, but I mean, you can be forgiven for jumping the gun, so to
I
speak.
did enjoy his little like talking to Mercer, like,
Yeah, kill
kill
me.
me. Just kill me now. And Mercer, I love Mercer. I enjoy the hell out of Mercer. He's
Yeah,
just so fun. Just this
he is.
big dude, like such a random choice that they decided to make Destro's right hand man. And I'm looking forward to this because obviously he's going to be in Destro too. So like clearly Kirkman or whoever the powers that be at this Energon universe likes Mercer too, because that's a weird deep cut to bring in.
It is.
Just some random
He's,
dude that was in Sergeant Slaughter's Marauders.
well, he was the defected Viper, right? So I'm wondering,
Yes.
all these fucking barbecue Vipers, if Mercer's gonna be responsible. Like, so here's like, imagine if Mercer, and then they bring in like Big Boa has always been a favorite of mine. So like Mercer, Big Boa, like Mercer picks a bunch of people from the ranks, and then him and Big Boa are the ones that like fucking train these guys down to be, because, but I mean, the other thing about a bunch of rednecks with guns is that that's not what Cobra is.
No,
So
you never really
I don't
got. They
know.
were always in order, organized organization, if anything. Um, yeah, I mean there was the occasional characters, but just like Cobra fodder, they were just dudes. Like,
And then we're forgetting there's the Destro preview in the back where so
yes,
really the bats are doing all the fighting. So I'm wondering if the bats are going to be the main troops in this, at least for a while. But we see them overthrowing a government, which is Darklonia. Now, I don't remember the lore here, but I know Darklon was like one of the Destro Iron Grenadier kind of characters, right? So he was
He
Mars.
is his cousin of
So
all people.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming that he's going to put his cousin in charge, like Prime Minister. The Darklonian people accept your resignation, Prime Minister. So I'm wondering if he's going to put his cousin in charge of the country, I guess, maybe.
Oh, that's got a couple weeks to find out.
Yeah,
Oh,
nepotism.
yeah, literally a couple weeks.
And actually also this is a reach, right? But in
Mhm.
the preview for Destro, the second to last page where you see the prime minister in the bottom panel, it is him. Give me a direct line. The panel above that, there's a guy with like a weird mask. There was this, oh, what was the country? There was a whole period in the Hama run. There was a period in the Hama run where they were in a country in Eastern Europe, and there were like these circus performers that were like rebels or something. Like it's not Sierra Gordo. I can't remember, but it evoked that to me. I don't know if it has
Okay.
anything to do with that, but it just there's like the one guy like the sad clown. I feel like it might even been on the cover. If it is, I'll put it right here so you can see it. If not, I'll find a page and panel and put it in. It's been a
Yeah,
while
they have
since
to
I've
show
read
me.
those, but it definitely evoked that. But yeah, I mean, it's all bats and they fly, which I don't love, but I'm fine. Whatever, it's fine. Energon, cool.
Are they flying or are they just falling down?
I Well, look, when they strafe the crowd of barbecue vipers, he's flying. The one that does that is
Well, yeah,
flying for
that's
sure.
because they're Energon based and they're shooting lasers. These guys are shooting machine guns. So this might be
Yeah,
before
but
Cobra Commander
well, that's a good
got
point.
around to upgrading them.
That's a good point. They are
This is,
falling. They're
yeah,
jumping from that helicopter.
I don't know where in the timeline this falls yet. I also just wonder, like, is he using bats to kind of reinforce this? We know there's this techno-organic war coming,
Yeah,
and that Cobra Law is like, oh, you've aligned yourself with the techno, you're no longer with us for sure. Like
right.
more further blasphemy to his origin
Oh,
or his
100%.
people. Yeah,
100%.
maybe that's why they're really focusing on the bats. Or other than bats are pretty freaking cool.
I love bats, man. I got two of them, and every
Oh
time I
yeah.
read a fucking issue of this comic, I just want to order like 9 more. Just the original. I don't care about the fucking Crimson Bat or the fucking, poolside bat, the Vegas bat, whatever.
Back to Cobra Allah too, which I meant to mention earlier. Did you notice the second time around that Pythorna, what's her name again?
Pythona.
Pythona, Pythona is going into space.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. She's taking the
Yeah, I
jellyfish
didn't read it. I
spaceship
didn't even
up.
catch it the first time around. The
Yep.
second time around, I was like, oh, her and her group of. So that means she's probably going to show up in Void Rivals.
Or yeah, yeah. Or if Transformers at some point, I mean, we're coming up on the end of the second arc, so I'm wondering if at some point, now that there's, the Decepticons are talking to Shockwave or whatever on Cybertron, they might start to
Oh
split
yeah,
the action, you know? So
that could be the case. Yeah, but yeah, there's clearly now we're seeing the GI Joe book going into the other books
yeah.
or
Fucking love it,
something
man.
for our techno-organic war.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for picking such a delicious beer. Oh
Thank you.
man, needed this. So, all right. That's Drunk on Energon. I'm Sean,
I'm Mike.
and we'll be back. Hi, I'm Sean. Join me and my friends every week for the Horror Vision, where we talk about horror movies.